clear on your goals, focused on your next play, and accountable every week.
In today's episode, we sit down with Richie Contartesi. Richie is the owner of Next Play, the accountability system for profitable growth and peak performance. We break down exactly how to be an amazing coach, sales leader, sales manager within your business, the KPIs you should be tracking, how to then coach to those KPIs to set your team up for the next play for success, not only tomorrow, but then the day after that, the week, and then the month. This is jam-packed with amazing information. So with that being said, let's start the show. Hey, welcome to the Insurance Buzz. We are your hosts, Michael and Courtney Weaver, and we have a special guest with us today, Richie Contartesi. Richie, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
I hope I just didn't butcher that last name.
We just said it like 7 times and still came out. No, it's fine. Contartesi, it's good.
It's fine, so we don't have to restart the episode. This is great. I hate when I butcher names and we have to restart. All right. Courtney, what are you thinking today?
So I want to get into leadership and talk about what you do, because you track KPIs, the things that are working, the things that are not working. So let's just start there. What are you seeing like across the board of like the KPIs that you are tracking that every leader needs to be tracking?
Like the actual specific KPIs or the fact that nobody's actually tracking KPIs at all? Okay, so let's just, what are the KPIs?
Wait, what? So you're saying that nobody's tracking them?
No, I mean, people are, but like there's layers to this. It's like, okay, now we have KPIs. What do we do with these KPIs, right?
Yeah.
Like most people track the results. And the problem is when you're looking at only the results, you can't make fact-based decisions and make adjustments per sales rep or sales leader if you're only looking at the results. So the first thing that we teach are what are all the activities and KPIs that it takes to get to the result. Let's improve upon those activities. And as a result of improving upon those activities, they'll become better salespeople and they'll get the result that you're looking for. So everything from how many calls that you're making to how many connects to the connect percentage, right? From connects to a booked call, or if you're not setting a booked call, to the offer or actually giving a quote, from the quote to the temp check. What, after they gave the quote, what's the temp check on that quote? Are they saying they're 7 out of 10 committed, 8 out of 10, 9, 10 out of 10? And then from there, either a call or a close, right? And so there's still multiple activities other than that. It's just kind of a high level overview. But if their connect percentage is low, what does that mean? That means that their phone might be saying spam risk. That means that their text sucks. That means that their voicemails suck, right? If they're getting a low temp check, that means that their offer sucks. They're getting someone on the phone, but they're not showing them the value of what the actual offer is or the quote is that they're giving them. So most people track like how many people did I talk to and how many quotes did I give and how many closes. And it's like, I mean, okay, so if for let's say you're not talking to a lot of people, what do you do? Well, I don't know. Make more calls. Well, how do you even know that's the so it's about tracking all the activities throughout the entire sales process and then measuring the conversion rates between all of those activities and then being able to coach to the low conversion rates by providing them with a next play, right? So it was a good question. There's just so many routes we can go with this. Yeah, but that's hopefully a high level overview.
And that's so good. And KPI, for those that are wondering, key performance indicators.
Yeah.
All right. So that's
such a classy word.
So in the insurance space, though, we typically would refer to it as activities. So I think it's good.
Yeah, but they're not tracking the activities. They're tracking quotes closed. It's like that's the result, right? It's the activities that lead to the result and the conversion rates between those that you track. And here's one other thing. I've seen many dashboards and it's just like, here's what's in front of me this week, this month, this quarter, this year. The problem with dashboards most of the time is it doesn't show trends over time. So like if I were to look at one sales rep and let's say I want to look at their offer to temp check conversion, being an average of 9.5 or greater. Say if we're temp checking 1 out of 10. I need to be able to look at the last 7 weeks of data. Did this person improve over time? Right? So it's not just about like this dashboard that you're going to F5 and look at and all these results. And then when a result is bad, play defense and try to go get this sales rep to make them better. It's about meeting them consistently and then looking at this data over time that is going to allow you to really help them improve. So I'm just going on a rant here, but yeah. Go ahead.
Please.
Answer your question.
Okay, so offers or quotes in the insurance space. So the
Yes.
make more calls when what?
Which I'm glad that you're bringing this up, and I hate to interrupt you, but it's the
Well, it happens all the time, so go for it.
It's what we've been sold in the self space. Like, just do more. Just do more. Just
But if
do
you're doing more of the wrong
if you're doing more of
thing-
the wrong thing, more wrong things just happen. Like, just do more is not what you should be coaching to.
Right. Like if your texts suck, if your voicemails suck, if your ghost quotes suck, if you're just not doing a good job, doing more of the not good job is it's not going to help you. Right. So that's why like every activity and measuring it and seeing like, okay, so I have this sales rep that's performing at a 23% conversion rate and you're consistently at a 7%. Let's figure out why, right? It's not, dude, go make more calls. It's, dude, let's fix your number because it's showing spam risk and that's why your conversion rate is low. So let's fix the problem, right? So, I mean, that's just one example, right? It could be many things.
So let's talk about
yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, we're all
let me-
interrupting each other.
No, it's good. It's good.
So when we look at all of these different things, all of these KPIs that we can track, if I'm listening to this and I'm like, okay, I need to start at one of them to start tracking, where do I start?
Okay. So best way to do this is open up a spreadsheet. All right. And then at the very top, what's the first activity that your team does? Right? Calls, emails, texts. What's the next thing that will happen from that activity? So that would be a connect, right? Connect. And then to the right of that would be the connect percentage. And you just divide the two. What happens after a connect? Is the goal of that do they book a meeting? Or is it a one call close? Let's say it's a one call close. So after that, it's probably going to be pitch, right? Did they get to the pitch? After that, it's going to be pitch percentage. After that, it's going to be offer or quote percentage, temp check average, right? And then close or book call 2, right? Let's just say that's for an example. You literally write those out with the percentages. And then on the left, put sales rep 1, put those numbers, and then the conversion rates are just dividing the other two numbers, right? So you could put a little equation. And then you literally just do like week 1, week 2, week 3. Like that's the easiest way to get started. Now, how do I get my team to input this data, right? Great question. I just asked myself that question.
I like it. Roll with it.
Well, I just already know like what's going to go. So, well, because of micromanaging and I'm going to have my team put in all this data. Like if your CRM doesn't do it, if your CRM does it, great. But most of the time, like most CRMs don't. And if they do, your team's not putting the data in correctly. So it's probably not accurate anyways. So the easiest way to do this is to have your team submit at the end of every day what they've done that day. But Richie, this is micromanaging. So first of all, like, okay, before I get into that, how do you do it? So you have a notepad and you put lines on it and you put like calls, emails, quotes, and they just tally as they go throughout the day. So it shouldn't take them extra time, very little extra time. But Richie, isn't this micromanaging? No, it's micromanaging if you have your team do something and there's no benefit for them for doing it, right? So you might look at some activities that your team is doing that that they don't see a direct benefit to their performance and their income that you might want to take off their plate and put something on their plate that could benefit their performance, which means if you're going to track their KPIs, then you've got to become a really good coach, right? You got to be able to show them that you're taking this data and using it to coach them and then help them see that they're improving because of it, and then achieving whatever their goal is. Make more money, have more freedom. Good luck with that now. No, just kidding. Whatever
more time off.
Right. And that's another thing. Like, most leaders have no idea what their people want. They're like, they want to make more. I'm like, have you ever actually sat with them and asked them, what do you want out of this? And they don't know. So we can get into commitments, which is one of the first things that we have people sign, or we teach leaders to have their people sign. But yeah, so that's how you can have your team do it without micromanaging, right? And then you could set up technology and forms and stuff to submit it to you, or it can go into your sheet, and make it simple. But that's the easiest way to just get started.
So, and I love where you're going here, because you actually brought the coaching up, which is exactly what I was going to say. Because as an insurance agency owner, great. You want to grow let's say you want to grow your new business. I hope you want to grow your new business. So quotes, because quotes is what's going to equate to sales.
That's a whole nother, I don't want to interrupt you, but that's a whole nother topic we should hit on today.
But damn it, Richie, you did just interrupt me. I mean, what?
No, that was just not, okay, go ahead.
No, I agree with you. Let's circle back to that. So, and I love it. So, but what you're talking about, Richie, I love, because great quotes, but there's a system that's going to generate the quotes, which generates the sales. If you want to produce more life insurance, great. You want to produce a certain amount of life insurance conversations or quotes a day, but you have to work backwards from that, which is exactly what you're saying. So from a coaching standpoint, I want to dive into this just for a second. So if somebody wanted to be a better coach, but they don't want to come across as a micromanager, okay? They don't want to micromanage their people. Nobody wants to be micromanaged. What is a system that they could do on a daily, weekly basis besides the recaps at the end of the day? I love that. How can somebody become a better coach and leader to where they're coming across as wanting their team to win versus managing their team versus micromanaging?
Great question. And it comes down to practice, right? And so how do we practice as a coach? Well, there's multiple ways. We can coach in a team setting, and we can coach one-on-one setting. So what we highly recommend, and let's just start with the one-on-one, is doing them every single week. Oh my God, my team's too big. I don't have time to do that. Don't do it then. Do it every other week. Do it monthly. But if you want to get the best results, it's every week. So here's an example. Like, if you watch sports, and let's just use football because I like football, right? Football is, and so does Courtney. So football and Michael too, but football is a week-to-week sport, right? You don't look at, Michigan looks at Ohio State and goes out and loses to a 1AA team. Why? Because they're looking 2 weeks in advance, right? It's same thing in sales. Like, sales is a sport. It's a week-to-week sport. So just like Tom Brady met with Bill Belichick every single week, even after he had won 4 or 5 Super Bowls, he still every week went in Belichick's office. They talked about the things that went really well. They analyzed all the data and watched film, and they created a game plan for the next week. And if you're a manager and you're not doing that with your sales reps, you're really not doing a great job of increasing their performance. You're probably just managing them. And so I like to break leadership down into 4 areas, right? So you have to make management, training, coaching, and accountability, right? And most managers are good managers, right? But they're not good trainers, they're not good facilitators, coaches, and they're not good at accountability. So if we're doing one-on-ones every week, and you're sitting down with your team and you're now tracking their KPIs, now you have to be good at this sitting down with them, because your team needs to see a result from this, right? Tom Brady, when he met with Belichick, he left that meeting with a result, with how he was going to get better. And it was based on facts. It was based on stats and the game film. That means that if you're a manager, you have to ensure that your team members are going to meet with you every week for 20 minutes, that 20 minutes is the most valuable 20 minutes of their week, and they can't wait to meet with you till the next week, right? So I'm going to give you the whole secret, okay? It's a very secret agenda, okay? Starts off with wins, 5 minutes. What are your wins for the week, right? And your team's going to give you surface level answers. They might think it's corny. listen, I want to start every meeting with wins. I want to talk about the things that you did well. Oh, I had a shitty week. Can I say that on here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course.
Okay. All right. I had a shitty week. Well, let's still find the things you did well because we want to build on them. And side note, if you have someone that comes into your meetings every week and all they talk about is negative and they're just negative people, then you shouldn't have them on your team, right? If you also have people that, because I hear this a lot, well, they might retire soon and they're just an okay performer and they don't want to get better. Well, that's your choice as a leader, but I wouldn't have them on my team. So your choice. Okay. So first step, wins, right? They come in, they meet with you. You go over 2-3 wins from the week. All right. The second portion of your meeting is you're going to talk about the KPIs. You're going to show them, here's your KPIs from the week. Here's all your conversions. Where do you think, Michael, you fell short this week? Right. And that's why it's not just the KPIs, but it's the conversion rates between those KPIs that matter, because that's how you're going to look and see, okay, let's look at this. Oh, boom. Only 3% there, only 10% here. And here's the trick. You only circle one, okay? You never want someone to leave your meeting with 16 plays, right? 300 things they got to do this week. One thing. What's one play? So you circle the thing that you feel like or you help them choose. What will move the needle the most, right? What's going to give them the biggest bang for their buck, okay? Third part is you're going to review their play from the week before, right? I can't give you an accountability system if you're not going to review the play from the week before, and you're going to track this too. This is a KPI. How many plays did I give you? How many of those plays did you execute? And what were the results of those plays? That we might get into that a little later. But whether or not you did the play and how did that affect your KPIs? And then the last part of the meeting is you're actually going to give them a next play for this week. What's the one thing that they're going to work on to get better? And if you think about this in terms of a year, 2 weeks of vacation, you meet with them 50 times. You're still not over the fact that you can't handle a weekly meeting, probably. But let's say you can. You meet with them 50 times. That's 50x improvement over the course of a year if you give them one thing. Managers like to give 15 things to do. I want you to do this. We're going to get better at this. I want you to work on this and this. And they leave and they get better at nothing, right? One play. Okay, so which brings up the question, what is the play that I'm going to give them, right? And what does this play consist of? Okay, so the play is going to be based off facts, right? Which is the conversions, okay? The play has to consist of has to answer 3 questions, What are you going to do? Well, that's the obvious one, right? But very clear, how are you going to do it? Because many people leave meetings like, oh, I'm going to go work on my quotes. And then they leave and then they have no idea how they're going to do it. And so how? And that gives them the confidence too. Like, you know what? I got my what. I know how to do it. Now I just go do it, right? And then the third thing is when. When are you going to do it by? And you see this time and time again. Okay, yeah, I'm going to go fix this thing. And then they come back for the next meeting and they're like, how did it go? And they're like, oh, I didn't get to it yet. It's like, no. So what, how, and when? And then the last piece is what's the result? So if they execute this play, will it increase their quote rate? Will it increase their temp check average? If they're averaging 7, are they going to get it to a 9? Is it going to increase their or decrease their call to booked percentage? Is it going? So I want to know what is the result of that in particular play. So that's a very simplified agenda that you can knock out and do in 20 minutes. So if you have, let's say 10 team members, probably should be your max. If you have more than that, you need to develop leaders at that point, really more than 7, but so 10 people, that's 3 hours and 20 minutes a week, right? If you're in a leadership role and you don't have 3 hours and 20 minutes to develop your people a week, you're the problem, right? And probably time blocking, time management is an issue, or you're a producer and you're not willing to learn how to become a leader and actually build your business versus work in it.
Yeah. I mean, everything you're talking about just screams clarity and confidence to me. Because look, I've been in the role, I've been there. Like when I was an early agency owner, I was doing exactly what you were talking about. Just do more quotes, just have more conversations. Okay, well, blah, 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 blah. Like what is the actual, like, how can you help your team? And when we transitioned, so when I wrote a book and I call for more one-on-ones because it was a game changer in my business, like having one-on-ones every week talking exactly about what you're discussing was an absolute game changer because everyone knew how to win. The clarity was there, the confidence was there, and they knew, well, I didn't call it next play. You're smart, Richie. I mean, next play's pretty creative. All right. What's the next play?
And hey, listen, if you're listening to this right now too, and you're trying to put next play in your business, reach out and let's talk. It is a registered trademark. So,
but it's so,
just saying,
but dang, it's so, you're hitting the nail on the head. And to say that, and I'm glad that you brought it up, like to say that you don't have time to develop your team. What exactly are you? And it's easy to fall in the role. I'm not saying it's not easy to say I don't have time, but that's an excuse.
But it goes back to what we talked about earlier. It's the same, I think it's the same kind of mindset of not wanting to grow your business too. Like you say you want to do these things.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
But there is going to be a cost to that.
What does your action say? I mean, action is where it's at. I mean, if you can say you want to grow, but if you're not executing or taking action.
Right. 100%. What's his name? Eric Thomas. He's like, everyone knows Eric Thomas, right? He's like there's no substance to it, but he is pretty motivational. And he always, his quotes are good. He goes, everybody wants to be a beast until it's time to do what beasts do. Right? Everyone wants to be a badass until it's time to do. Everyone wants to play D1 football. Everyone wants to play in the NFL until it comes time to do the things that those people do, right? So, I mean, you hit it nail on the head. Like our kind of like quote is clear on your goals, focused on your next play, and accountable every week, right? If we were to simplify it. So clear on where you're going, and then laser focused every week on your next play. What's my next play, right? It's not 2 weeks in the future. It's not how bad I sucked last week. My next play this week. What am I doing this week to get better? And then accountable to execution of that consistently every single week. So,
all right.
How often do you repeat the same next play? Do you ever do that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a thing, right?
Yeah.
For sure. I would want to know why. Like, why are we repeating this? It could be that it was more complex than anticipated, which is fair. But if it's something like over time, 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks of, there's a problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So hire slow, fire fast.
Yeah.
So, all right, Richie. So if somebody has a team and they don't want to do what you're talking about and they need to hire somebody to do what you're talking about, to develop a sales leader, a sales manager within their business. Yeah. What does that look like? Like if you could, 2 to 3 tips off the top, like if you're going to hire someone and train them how to be a sales manager, sales leader, this is what I would recommend them do. Obviously they could hire you and you can help develop their sales managers, sales leaders for them. But if they wanted to do it themselves, what does that process look like?
Yeah, that's what we do. I will say the biggest mistake that we see business owners make is taking their top salesperson and trying to put them into a manager. No bueno. Not a good idea.
I've done that.
We did that.
I've done that. It was terrible.
Yeah. Okay.
It was a bad idea.
I mean, occasionally it works, but you have to be epic. Like you have to be really good at building leaders up, right?
Yeah.
So that's 1. 2 is ego is probably going to destroy most business owners here because most business owners believe that they're amazing leaders, but there's no systems for it. So the second thing is you got to have systems. So how do you create systems? You've got to create them. If you want to do it on your own, you create them on your own. One-on-ones with an agenda, weekly team meetings, daily end of days. We call them daily spikes, where they submit their numbers, a win, and their next play for the next day, right? Have them sign commitments every single quarter as a team. These are some of the things that you've got to do, and you've got to get really good at them, and then bring in a manager who's already has experience that you can then mold into your systems. That's probably the fastest 6-month realistic time frame of if you wanted to do this, right? And that would be my suggestion.
What are commitments, and why are we doing them every quarter?
Yeah, so this is a commitment.
We have a visual. If you're listening to the audio, you need to check out YouTube.
It looks something like this, but basically, at the very top, they write what it is that they want to achieve this particular quarter and what the hell they want in their life. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you in sales, right? Sales is a vehicle. It's like, it's different than customer success and product and finance. And it's you are in a vehicle to make more, to have the ability to make uncapped income. Why? Right? So I want to know that. And what's the result for you? Right? And then what's been holding you back or keeping you from achieving what you want? Right? So this forces your people to set ego aside and actually share like what's going on. It's a tough thing for salespeople. You're listening to this. It's probably a tough thing for you too. But you got to do it. And then it talks about commitment. So like, how committed are you to achieving this vision? And how committed are you to the process? And these are 1 out of 10s. So I'm looking for 10 out of 10s. Like if I start not seeing 10 out of 10s, then it's a private conversation. We're probably going to move on. Right. And then it has all of the expectations. So roles, responsibilities, and expectations. If you're listening to this right now, does every sales rep on your team, they probably know their role and responsibilities? Maybe half. But we do surveys of Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies, and 20 to 24, 23% of people actually know their expectations. So what are the expectations based on those role and responsibilities? And then at the bottom, this is the key, they have to sign it, right? So literally, like at the very bottom, there is a signature. Okay, that's mine. This is mine. But there's a signature at the bottom where they sign it. And if you're virtual on your one-on-ones, this is part of that sheet. If you're in person, you put it up on the wall, right? Because as a leader in sales leaders specifically, your job is to know what the people on your team want and then do everything in your power to help them get it, as long as they meet your expectations. So this kind of sets the foundation and the framework for one-on-ones, for team sessions, for you pushing them to improve performance and accountability to execution of their play and the expectations that you have for them. Because if you don't do that in the beginning, you might get like some resistance that's unnecessary.
Yeah. What's your commitment right now, if you don't mind sharing? You went through this, so you think the leader has to go through this process as well? You think that's key?
Leaders?
Yeah.
Because you do it with your team.
Okay.
So everybody does it together. So like conference room or a Zoom meeting, and you lead it. Okay, so this is a good question. So this is the way that we teach it. This is the way I've always done it. So you're in a Zoom meeting or you're in person, and you just literally, okay, so first thing, what is it that you truly want to achieve? And then what do you want to achieve this quarter, right? So I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes, ready, go. Boom. And everyone's just sitting there and writing. Okay. And then I'll go, okay, Michael, what was yours? Courtney, what was yours? And everybody just shares. And then for their like big long-term vision, they don't necessarily have to share that, but for the quarter they do, right? So, and then the leader needs to share this as well. So everybody goes around and shares, what it is that they want, because as in your team, right? Because, and the reason is because like, just as a leader, it's important for me to ensure that the people on my team achieve their goals. As a team, we want to help each other as well. So it kind of creates that team,
unity, the bond.
Yeah.
You're going into battle together. Like, Well,
yeah, it's like you're going, exactly. You're going in this together, and we're
the 300.
Again, they're kicking people down like huge holes. Yeah. But it's the clarity and confidence is what it keeps coming back to, which is what I love about what you do, because I think as a entrepreneur and small business owner, insurance professional, sometimes it's so hard to get caught up in the more, the rat race. And then your team isn't clear on how to win. You're not clear on how to even manage or even what KPIs your team should be doing to be able to coach to. And that's what I love about what you do and why we teamed up, because the constant thing we hear in the sales training and coaching world is, I wish I had more accountability. Could you come in and could you help teach me the KPIs? Could you come in and teach me how to be a better coach? Could you come in and help hold my team accountable? That's what you do. That is exactly what you do. And that's why the results are there. I mean, you're having wild results.
Yeah. I mean, we work with one of the largest agencies in California, largest agency in Georgia. And it's like within a month, record months, it's really fast. Like, and especially like if you make a commitment to get really good at coaching and accountability and leading salespeople, man, it just is like, it gives you the confidence where you're not wondering like, is my team going to perform this month? Like, your team's going to perform. And when you get to the point where you can put sales leaders in place and give them this system, this is when you could fully step out of your business and know without a shadow of the doubt that every single person on your team is accounted for. And not just accounted for, like, are they showing up? Like, they're accounted for improved performance weekly. So, I mean, as a business owner, to be able to step back and have that, I mean, powerful. Again, I would say the biggest thing I see is ego, and business owners being like, I'm an amazing leader, like, of salespeople. But they just don't know what they don't know.
Yep.
Right. Like, I could be like, oh, I'm an amazing insurance salesperson. Right. But if I never sold insurance, and there's so many things I don't know. You know what I mean? So.
Well, and I think from a leadership standpoint, majority of what I see in the insurance field is glorified team members. Like, we were the best as insurance sales professionals. We were given an agency, or this was the next step. And if you don't grow into that seat, then that's what you stay in, is the peer perspective or the salesperson perspective versus the leader and setting expectation. There is an art to that.
There is. And quite frankly, that can be part of the issue as well, because you're getting information. You get all this information as an agency owner in that world of, well, this peer's doing it this way. This peer's doing it this way. This peer's doing it this way. Well, shit, that's just confusing to your team unless you're doing exactly what Richie's saying. Like, figure out the KPIs that actually move the needle in your business and focus on those so your team has a clear runway on how to be successful and win every single day, every single week, every single month. Like, if you're really looking to take your agency and career to the next level, that's what it comes down to. It doesn't come down to creating new ways to generate business every 3 to 4 weeks. That's confusing as hell. It's figuring out what actually wins and moves the needle in your business and creating a clear runway to win, and your team knows exactly what to win, and they're committed to it. I love the commitment. I love that.
Yeah, man. I couldn't agree more. I love it too.
So, Richie, if someone wanted to reach out to you, follow you, learn more about you, I'd love for you to share a little bit more about what you do, how you're having success working with agents, and then how somebody can connect with you.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. We worked with an organization, and they were collecting $28,000 per sales rep per week, 40 sales reps. Within 90 days, their average collection per sales rep was $41,000 per week. That's $2 million a month extra, 90 days. So like there's no denying that coaching and accountability works, right? It's how you do it that matters. And it's a skill set. It's either you want to develop it or you want to put people in place and develop them to be able to do it, right? It's a different skill set than sales. So, I mean, this is what we do. We have 12 plays we implement with leaders, whether it's the business owner or or developing their leadership team, right? We implement this over 12 to 16 weeks, and we not only teach the leader. So let's just use a business owner, for example. We not only teach the business owner how to do it. So here's how you implement your commitment. Here's how you do your one-on-ones. But we do that with the business owner. So we track the KPIs. We do the commitment with them. We do so everything that we teach, we do with the person. So not only do they learn it, right, visually, hear audio, like they learn it through our training, but we also do it with them so they can experience it. And then that week go and do it with their team. And nobody does that. Why? Because it takes time and people care more about profits than they do about actually getting the person the result. So what does it take to get the person the result? It takes coaching and accountability. Okay. So if that's what I believe, then we have to do that, which means we have to meet with our clients every single week. And that's what we do.
Hell yeah. So what's the website? How can they reach out?
Yeah, so it's really easy. It's RichieContartesi.com.
Richie
Everyone knows how to
Contartesi.
spell it. So.
Well, you messed up your last name too. I'm glad.
He can't mess up his old last name.
So it's a long story, but you can go to gonextplay.com, and it forwards to RichieContartesi.com. It'll also be linked, I'm sure, somewhere around this.
Oh yeah.
We'll put the
but
links.
If you just like start RICHIECON in Google, it'll pop up and you can go there. I'm on every social media platform. I post a minimum of once or twice per day. YouTube, we post once or twice a day as well. So everything that we teach, I give it to you, right?
Yeah.
It's not about the content. Yeah, inside our training platform, we go real in depth, which would be hard on online, but a lot of the concepts we teach, it's not about that. It's the coaching and the accountability and improvement consistently that matters, right? And being coached to you of doing it and then getting better at it.
Yep.
So.
No, and we'll make it really easy on you as well. We'll include a link in the show notes that you can actually book a call with Richie's team if you're interested in finding out more about what he does. So make sure if you're interested, you check out the show notes. That'll make it easy on you. Richie, thank you so much.
Can I just real quick tell people not to book the call though?
Yes.
Really quick. Like you can book one, but I'm going to tell you right now not to book this call if you are okay with where you're at. Like, we don't work with people who want to be average. I only work with people who want to be elite, who want to be the biggest agency owner of their state, Allstate, State Farm, Farmers. Like I'm not interested in people that don't want to be the best, right? Because you're probably just not going to do it and you're not going to care, right? If you're also not paying your sales reps and you're just turn and burn with 100% commission and it's like don't book a call. Like, this is not for you. This is like, I want to build an elite sales team, a powerhouse sales team of elite salespeople and work with them consistently. then book a time. If not, don't, because I don't want you to waste your time and our time as well. And I don't want to come off, I hope I'm not coming off harsh, but
no, man.
I just don't want you to waste your time.
I have to tell a story on Richie. So we went out and saw Richie in scorching hot Vegas in summer. And we're sitting at dinner and he said, I get up before 4 a.m. I wake up at like 3:30 and we're like, holy shit. He's like, yeah, I wake up amped. I am so amped to do what I do every single day. And I think that's important to share, because if you're listening to this, this is somebody who is committed in what they're doing and genuinely helping people, but you have to want it for yourself. So I think you're just laying the expectations for, if you are not this kind of person, that's okay. Just don't book the call.
Yeah, just don't. It's going to be a waste of time. And I'll just use one athlete analogy, because I think it's a lot of people in sales are athletes, or like athletics. As someone who's 5'7", 150 something pounds, right? I had no place in the SEC playing college football, let alone playing and earning a scholarship. And I share this with you because the reason that at 5'7", 150, and I don't fit in, by the way, right? Was able to make that happen was because I wanted to be elite. Is because I wanted to be better than everybody else. I wasn't better than everybody else. Rarely was I better than anyone, but I wanted to more than everybody. And a lot of athletes all around the country want to play D1, want to play in the NFL, but they don't do what's actually necessary to get there. And it's the same thing with business owners. Business owners say they want to have a big agency, but they're not willing to invest. They're not willing to build a team. They're not willing to invest the time, right? So I'm the type of person where I go all in, like crazy all in, right? And I do the same thing with my clients. So if you're not all in, don't do it, because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But if you're sitting here and you're like, I'm the type of person that I'm the underdog, I'm that, then book. Let's talk.
I'm getting amped just listening to this.
I know.
I'm like, all in. This is an LFG moment, but I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say the F word on the podcast right now, but let's freaking go. All right.
Now.
All right. Yeah. So, Richie, thank you so much for coming on. That was a mic drop moment. Man. You crushed it today. For all of those of you that are listening, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you. If you enjoyed today's episode as much as we did, make sure you shoot us a text, 816-727-7610. I'd love to know your biggest takeaway from today. Other than that, as always, time is the most valuable and important asset that we all have. Appreciate you spending time with us today. Go out, make it great. Richie, thanks again, brother.